India's most valuable strategic project is stuck. 20 years ago, India came up with an ambitious plan. It would build a 1,300-kilometer highway that would link India to all of Southeast Asia. This was the India-Myanmar-Thailand Trilateral Highway. And there were big hopes from this project. It would reverse decades of Indian isolation from Asia, it would connect us to some of the world's fastest growing regions, and it would boost everything from Northeast development to tourism. But 20 years later, this enormously valuable project is stuck. And it's stuck because of a brutal civil war in Myanmar. On this episode of Threadbare, we're going to talk about the India-Myanmar-Thailand Trilateral Highway. Why is it such a big deal? Why is it stuck? And what does India need to do to get the project going again? Let's start, as we always do, with the basics. In 2002, senior leaders from India, Myanmar and Thailand got together with a plan. They agreed that they would build a 1,360-kilometer highway linking Bore in India's Manipur to Mae-Sot in Thailand. Now, this highway, which would link three countries, came to be known as the India-Myanmar-Thailand or IMT Trilateral Highway. And the plans didn't just stop there. Once completed, the existing road networks could then connect India to countries like Vietnam and to all of Southeast Asia. Now, this was an enormously strategically valuable project for a lot of reasons. Firstly, it would help India realize what it calls its Look East policy. Simply put, India had basically neglected to build close ties with Southeast Asia and East Asia ever since partition in 1947. But that changed in 1991 when Prime Minister Narasimha Rao announced the Look East policy to rebuild all those relationships. By linking itself to Southeast Asia physically, India would be able to tie these countries much closer to it. Second, a massive highway allowing trade would also help India develop its northeastern states and would also make them a hub for business with Southeast Asia. Finally, a direct land trade route with Southeast Asia would also increase India's presence in the region at a time when China was also expanding its influence there. So all in all, developing the IMT highway was a big deal. There's a reason why S. Jaishankar has called the project a real game changer for India and for Southeast Asia. But here's the problem. But the project just has one problem. More than 20 years after it was first thought up, the Trilateral Highway is still not done. So that begs the basic question, why? Well, there are a bunch of reasons for that, most of which revolve around Myanmar. When the project was first announced, each of the three countries agreed to help build parts of the highway. So India agreed to develop around 120 kilometers of the highway and also to upgrade around 69 old bridges on another section of the highway. Much of the highway would also run through Myanmar, and so a lot of the work would have to be done in that country. Unfortunately, that's where the problems began. Political troubles within Myanmar led to the rise of a hardline government that by and large did little to advance foreign infrastructure projects. That included work on the IMT highway. So basically, according to some sources, there wasn't much progress on building the highway between 2004 and 2011. That's 7 years lost. Work on the Trilateral Highway really only began after 2011. And while work did progress, India also had some challenges on its side. For example, the government had to hire and then fire a contractor because of substandard work on the highway. The contractors then sued the Indian government and that caused further delays. But despite all of these messes, progress has finally actually been made on the project. By June 2023, India's government announced that 70% of its section of the highway was complete. Thailand has also mostly completed its minor sections of the highway. But the biggest roadblock is still Myanmar. In 2021, Myanmar's military overthrew the civilian government. And since then, the country has been locked in this brutal civil war between the military and various ethnic militia groups. Now, these militia groups have gained control over large areas, including regions where the highway is being built in the Kalewa-Yagi section. The security situation in Myanmar has made it extremely difficult for India to complete construction on its section of the highway. Myanmar's military government says that it expects to make progress in building out the highway, but with the civil war not going their way at the moment, it's not clear whether they really have the political or the military authority to make sure the project can succeed. So that begs another basic question. What can India do to save the Trilateral Highway? Some former diplomats believe that really India has no easy options. It could try to negotiate with rebel militia groups and allow the work to continue. China, for example, has done exactly this. It's worked directly with militia groups to protect its investments in Myanmar. Over the last couple of months, India has actually stepped up its relationship with opposition forces within Myanmar. In fact, a member of parliament from the Rajya Sabha visited one of these ethnic militias very recently in March 2025 to hold talks with them. The second option, of course, is that India could push Myanmar's military government to provide security for the highway. But again, this option is not easy because of the military situation in the conflict right now. So as I said before, none of the options facing India are easy. But at the same time, Foreign Minister S. Jaishankar has made clear that this project is too important to stall due to Myanmar's internal problems. He has pushed for practical solutions to keep it moving forward. Remember that India has a $131 billion trading relationship with ASEAN nations, which it really wants to expand. More exports to Southeast Asia will power the Indian economy. Southeast Asian countries also want to do more business with India because remember, they don't want to be economically reliant on just China. So completing the IMT highway is absolutely critical strategically, both for India and for Southeast Asia. Getting this project done despite all the challenges will be a major test for Indian diplomacy in the years to come. Thanks for watching Threadbare with me, Shashank Mattu. You can catch this show again next week only on India Today Global.